GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
To a Tuesday, we focus on a different state each week, taking a look at their firearms laws and history. We also feature a gun owner's rights group and take a look at their background, focus, and successes.
Okay, I guess that's the end of that. So we're starting it up here. Thanks everybody for showing up. If anybody shows up live, DJ's out there. Had a couple of quirkings this evening. Chats on other channels go over their normal time schedules. Last longer than expected. So we'll dig in here. So I have a poll going since it's a Tuesday on our daily gun show to ask the people that are showing up live what they think is going to happen with Alan West being willing to run against Wayne for boss of the NRA. So what's going to happen at the annual meeting? Will people rally and Alan West will win? Will people rally but he'll lose? Will people watch and wait for change? Or people that I don't even want to show up, people that whatever. So they just pick that other one. So let us know if you feel like voting on that. Shout out. Otherwise, we'll start picking a state here and talking about it tonight. We're going to be choosing between Minnesota, New Hampshire, Alabama, and Arizona. Thanks for the feedback. Appreciate it. All right, so I think I threw some comments out here earlier. So Alan West is running against Wayne. At the NRA meetings, there's an opportunity to see real change in the dynamic. 75 board members, typically 40 of them show up at the meeting, I think, and then only dozens of them will actually vote. I think that's how it came up. And then that is a potential to create awareness and motivate some votes. So I forgot where I was posting that earlier. Somebody's chat was out there basically not talking about that element of the national meeting, but I think it's a potential, and it's an objective that's worthy. It has something. It's got a good goal to get rid of the people that are causing trouble at the NRA or causing the division or causing the disunity or whatever. To create an opportunity for using the resources of the NRA, rejuvenating them or using them for directions that more folks can get behind and get those membership numbers up to include some of the millions of people that are new to guns, potentially. So what are you doing? Just voting for all of them? Arizona and Minnesota? So what's the deal? You got 75 members. A bunch of them are kind of for show. There's celebrities or people that they probably want on the board to have some kind of clout or because of their reputation, right? Like Ted, what's the next guy's name? What's his name? The guy, some actors that people like. Ted Hansen? No, I don't know the name of those actors, but there's some actors that people dig. They're on the board. There's what's his face, the singer everybody likes. He's on the board. There's probably a couple of ladies on the board. And then there's some people that have been in the NRA for a long, long time. There's people that are active in different elements of the NRA. Why am I yawning so much? Different people that are active in different parts, like the training divisions or the ranges. That's a big part. I don't know if the research and the museums and the artifacts of the NRA gets much say or much clout in the organization. Oh, snap. Somebody's buying something over at our Gear website store. Somebody ordered something over there. Thank you for that. Having some of these board members be for show, and then the rest of them be part of the NRA. Like, holy, I'm dying of yawning. I didn't think I was that tired. They're all right. This is frustrating. The board, I don't know them all. There's a list somewhere of the board, and I don't know if they make it public on the NRA or not, but I know that some of the haters of the NRA, the anti-haters, not the gun owners that hate the NRA, that's a whole nother level of people that hate the NRA, but the anti-gunners that hate the NRA have at least one or maybe more now websites that list all the different board members to make it more easy to harass them or to misquote them or to bug them or whatever. And you can go to those websites and see the board, but I think they might have it listed on their website as well somewhere. So if you went through there, I don't know if it would help you much. And in fact, some of those anti-resources do help. Like, give you some direction on who the different board members are. If it's not obvious because they're a celebrity or something, or maybe a politician, you might not realize why some of these people are on the board. And often they're misguided or completely wrong or offering bad data, but sometimes they give you at least an idea what state the person's from and let you find their do some research on the people, on the different board members. So let's say that there's those 75 board members and that I've heard something like 40 of them will show up at the annual meetings. So some of those people that are showing up out of the 40 are just there for the events, right? They're not there, or the exhibits, I guess. They're not really there for the meetings. So they're not going to show up to the actual meeting. So the 3-day, 4-day event, however long the NRA show is made up of many individual meetings, and some of them, only a couple are public. Most of them are behind doors, closed doors. But those public meetings happen concurrently or can just continue at the same time as the rest of the exhibits and stuff. So while everybody's being distracted by all the guns on the floor and ability to fiddle with them and filming their videos and whatnot, the board meets and has a room full of people there that can sit down and vote. So that's what we're kind of talking about, is if we can affect the people that are members of the board that are at the event but are also willing to vote. In other words, can be reasoned with or can be talked with or educated or made aware of the circumstances. I don't know what the deal is. Some of them may be adamantly in part of the bureaucracy or whatever, or they are brainwashed, or they just see it completely differently. Maybe they're able to explain why there's a reason why the NRA should be doing a nosedive. Maybe it's some strategy that we're not seeing. But I think more realistically, right, there's a potential that people reached these 40 people. So we know that there's a dozen people that are screwing with the NRA, and there's 40 people that hold the purse strings. There's 40 people that make those votes, 75 potentially. And really, there's no need to blow off those remainders. If there's a bunch of celebrities that have NRA board status and they can be reasoned with, they can be made aware, they can be educated, whatever the words are you want to use, they can be talked to, then what happens if they show up? Do they negate all those people that are in cahoots with the couple of dozen people that are steering it poorly? If those people are steering it poorly, do they just get to steer it poorly forever? Or is anybody going to jump on the boat and push them out of the way of the steering wheel, get them out of there, and then decide how we're going to start pushing this, steering this thing? So again, you've got the potential of all those board members that don't normally show up. But even if we talk about the board members that do show up, who are they? And how hard would it possibly be to have as many interested and concerned, willing to act individuals take part in some sort of an awareness campaign, some sort of a contact, what's that called? Some sort of I don't know, that's a way to let these people know that, hey, there's an option. You can vote for Alan West. All right, so that's the question there. We'll see if anybody's chatting about it. I don't like how much I'm saying I feel like I'm saying a lot now. So it's just Angelina and DJ out there. If you want to jump in, let me know. I can throw the link out there. Otherwise, we can just wrap it up. I'm really not trying to prove nothing with these shows other than offer a show. I guess being quirked has prevented the show from getting out there, or people are just sick of watching the Tuesday show. Either way, it looks like we're getting Minnesota as the vote. So I'll just dig into Minnesota here. Out of this book that we'll show off in a second. So I move all my robot arms over into the place. Probably should have got something to drink before I started this whole thing. And spilled half of it out. I really only smoke or drink smoke one cup of coffee a day. I'm definitely getting tired. I only drink 1 cup of coffee a day, so I'm getting pretty tired at night. I think we were chatting about Matt smoking over there, and Matt smokes again. All right, so this is the 50 States of 2A book that we've made up. It is an attempt to put the Minuteman University website into print and make a paper copy of some of the information that we have over at that Minuteman University project, an online resource for activists. And this is a misprint. This is one that you can see it's kind of upside down, half backwards. And eventually I'll find where Minnesota is in here, and then we can start taking a look at it. It's really difficult to find things when half the pages are upside down and it's all shuffled around backwards. All right, so this is a format that I came up with to get the information from a lot of different places into something that people could hold in their hand, something that people could thumb through and look at, kind of like a farmer's almanac. Not so much something you'd read, but something that you'd have available, and that there's certain information in it. And if you needed to go check something, it's a quick resource or a handy resource. I put it in this small format so that I can print them here in-house. There's a printer right over there that I print them on, and then I use some staplers and stuff over there. And then when people buy them, they get shipped some bubble wrap that's over there. So this is a misprint of that project, and the layout here is to have one page, one state per page, and we have kind of consistent information and then some other information kind of depending on how much the state is involved in the history of the Second Amendment stuff. So we'll dig in and probably go pretty quick because Minnesota is a big state, but they don't do a heck of a lot. Well, they do a lot more than some states, but they don't do, we're not going to be here for an hour reading about Minnesota. So getting into it, they were the 32nd state, came into the Union in May 11th of 1858. We only missed that by a couple of days. And then they have a weird looking state flag that's got their seal on it, and it's a big blue thing with their seal in the middle. They're up there next to Canada, hanging out with Canada all the time, and pretty much a bunch of forest in that state. So, and then this whole east side of the state is giant Great Lakes. So it's half water, and there's a lot of lakes in the state, and then half forest. They have no Second Amendment. Most of the other states that we talk about in here, in fact, all but 9 states have some form of a Second Amendment in their state constitution. Minnesota does not. So I don't have to read all that. Open carry, they do have open carry without a permit, which is a good thing. Concealed carry, shall issue. And they have, the last time that I found info in 2017, this thing was printed in 2020, 276,000 permits. So that's not a lot. It's not little, but it's medium, especially for a state their size. Constitutional carry, not yet. Suppressors for hunting, whereas the restrictions on suppressors for hunting were removed in May 22nd of 2015. So they were the 36th state to remove prohibitions on hunting with a suppressor. So that's pretty cool. Then we have their state firearm is nothing because they don't have one yet. But then we get into Second Amendment sanctuaries, and they are they have 11 out of their 87. Is that real? Wow. 11 out of their 87 counties are sanctuary counties, 2A sanctuary counties. So that means that they probably have, if there's 87 counties in Minnesota, they're not that big because Minnesota's big, but come on, man, 87 counties. There must be just a couple of counties, I guess, that have fought back against bad laws or something. All right, so as we go through the rest of the page, we're going to take a look at some of the, looks like they have some a gunsmithing school. They've got some sports stuff. They've got organizations, a couple of activists, and then some stuff from hunting and some industry things. So kind of coming down and then around again. We'll start with the Pine Technical College. Started in 1980. That's a gunsmithing school. I don't know much about it, but I included it, or I found it in my research, included it, and it's in Minnesota. Then we've got the U.S. Clay Target League, started in 2001. So clay targets, and a U.S., or I should say a national league for target shooting, for clay target shooting. Then we have Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, started in 2013. It says it's a grassroots organization dedicated to protecting and advancing the right of the citizens to keep and bear arms. Since they don't have that as a constitutional protected thing in their constitution, I guess that's a good thing. When I do this, I'm not getting paid by anybody to hold any punches or anything. So, the Minnesota Gun Caucus, I'm not going to complain. They do some good work. However, there's nothing's perfect, and there's been people that have reason to complain about the brothers, I guess, that started it, or something like that. So I'm not sure of the whole details, but I can tell you that they've been active, and they definitely put a lot of effort into awareness. So I'm not sure the origins or the relationships and stuff, but I know that some of the other states have had worse luck with the family, I guess, that started the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. You can kind of tell by looking at the logo and looking at the logos of some of the other states which ones are associated in that kind of network. Then we got Sarah Cade, bad picture, or bad cartoon, but an activist who's started out being an activist and then got into, I want to say, training and being aware of concealed carry methods and options, and then turns out they're in the industry selling concealed carry holsters. So I don't think it was planned, but it's been interesting to watch the evolution of activists to industry in Minnesota with, I would say, females that are, liberal gun club, new gun owner, not interested in the history of guns as much as carrying a gun for protection and, in that pathway or on that track. All right, next we get the industry. Now let's do some hunting stuff that's in Minnesota. We've got the Pope and Young Gun Club, established in 1961. So I shouldn't say gun club, because I think Pope and Young is actually archery, isn't it? So our Pope and Young Club is some way that people that hunt stuff compare their racks with each other or something. So been an organization for a while, and you get like a Pope and Young rating when you kill something, and it tells you how many horns it has or something. I'm not sure. I'm not a hunter. Then you get a couple of organizations that have come up, one a long time ago and one more recently with the same logo almost, right? So what's up with that? You got Pheasants Forever, started in 1982 in St. Paul. So, we had quail organizations. We've had duck, right? Ducks Unlimited. We've had duck organizations before. So we have pheasants, and I don't know how many pheasants there are in Minnesota, but right, we got pheasants. And then Quail Forever started in 2005. Now, I'm not a hunter, but I did put together a couple of different resources like this. And I know something happened here with Quail Unlimited. quail forever, ducks unlimited, and money, and people getting pissed with each other. Something happened in there at some point. So it looks like Quail Forever or the different forever organizations are in Minnesota. And if you're a hunter and you know about that, or if you're just somebody who knows about that, consider posting a video. We were watching Crump earlier today, talking to the Gun Owners of America Hunter guy. Does anybody watch that? So I'm going to put that in here. Did anyone watch the GOA hunting guy today? And if so, what'd you think about that guy? Okay, now we'll get into some industry here. So we've got the federal ammunition started up in 1922 in Minnesota. We've got Sportsman's Guide, pretty good company, been a supporter of ours for a long time now. 1970 they started, and they started their first catalog in 1976. I've been getting Sportsman's Guide catalogs since way back in the day, and then they didn't do too much ordering online, but then, like I say, they've been a supporter of our projects, and they've been pretty cool. So they gave us a tour of their factory, or their warehouse, I guess, their facilities when we went up there. Had actually a pretty good time up there. Next up is Magnum Research. Now, they moved to Pennsylvania in 2010, but they started in Minnesota in 1979. So the Magnum, basically the Desert Eagle and the BFR were both created in Minnesota. And then they only moved to Philadelphia when, or not Philadelphia, but Pennsylvania when Carr bought Magnum Research. Then you get DPMS, Panther Arms, founded in 1985. A lot of people don't remember DPMS. I guess they're technically still around. But they moved around Minnesota a few times and then eventually moved in 2014 to Alabama. So they don't really live in Minnesota anymore, but they originated in there. And then lastly, in 2008, Action Tracker, these pretty cool, what did you call them, like chairs with treads on them that you see in different organizations are handing these out or giving people hunts that they use them or something, depending on the situation. But the trackers themselves come from Minnesota, and that company started in 2008. And that's a pretty cool story too, using off-the-shelf stuff to create accessibility. So this project was done live. We drew the cartoons live. We draw cartoons every once in a while. I need to start drawing some more cartoons, actually. We drew cartoons of some of the locations and stuff. We do all that stuff live. Do most of the research live, either in shows like this one or other events. And then compile it all and talk about how to use the software. We use Adobe software to take all this data off the websites and accumulate it here. We do all that kind of stuff live when possible. And then every once in a while, we will do some kind of a project to get it to some level, right? To put it all together. So in this case, back in 2020, we put all this stuff together into this book, this 50 States of 2A project, and let people sponsor each page to help accomplish it. And we want to say thanks to people that did that. So Garrett, I'm guessing that's Gun Library Garrett. Always a fan of when we've been publishing things. I don't know if he's a publisher or a reader or what the deal is, but I think he sponsored a bunch of the pages in here. So let's go to the back here. One of the things that I attempted to do even in 2020 was to make useful maps. I keep seeing maps because of what's going on in New York recently. Everyone wants to exploit that by doing news stories about it or complaining about it one way or the other. And inevitably, they're going to show some kind of map and talk about something. And again, there's also this recent 50 states that have constitutional carry. So there's lots of maps going around with that, and all the maps suck. Most of the maps you see are just plain old maps of the United States with no additional data for us to use. And I guess if it's on a TV, you're only going to see it for a moment. Who cares? But if I'm posting something on a website or it's going to be captured like this on a video that people might pause or use for something, then I'd rather have more information available. So what I did on the back of this, the concept here was to have a pretty easy to deal with front page so that it's easy to identify and find in a pile or see on a shelf or whatever, find on the bookshelf. And then on the other side, make it more useful and kind of explain what we're doing in there. So portions of it are a little bit of branding, and then to let you know what's going on inside of there, but then also just make it useful. Like you pick this thing up and just need to figure it out. At least at the time, this is not current anymore. These little bubbles each give you different information, either about the CCW status, open carry, constitutional carry, hunting with a suppressor, or if they have a state firearm. And at the time in 2020, those were some of the criteria that I was tracking with each state up here. The number of criteria has increased quite a bit. I don't have any stuff with the maps on it here, but the maps have increased quite a bit. But this map from 2020 did give us some information about Minnesota, and it's basically telling us that they've had hunting with suppressors since 2015. It's not the best map I did, and it's kind of difficult. Once you get the key down, it's easy to figure it out, but it's not the best map. I should have gone with something where I colored in the states, I suppose. All right, with that being said, that's a little more about the 50 states of 2A, giving people a chance to type something in here if you want. Otherwise, I'll shut this part off, move this thing out of my face, and move that out of my face. All right, so Angelina's out there. Good evening. Let's see, DJ took off, and then we got Woods out there. All right, so DJ's saying Pope and Young is harder than Boone and Crockett. Pope and Young, you cannot use any electronics. Oh, interesting. So it's not that it's not that one's for archery and one's for hunting or one's for rifles. It's the something else. I was reading the stories, and it was people that had been fancy hunters or popular hunters or like respected hunters back in the day, right? And then I thought one of them was an archery guy, and the other guy, and they went out and did challenge. I don't know. I don't know. So let's get back to the other part of hunting. We can jump over to one of the things I've been doing now in order to keep some notes so that I can use it on this show is to post the link to the video we're watching and then make some comments about it so that I can use them as notes. But I did put in a thing over on the big channel. Oh, I guess I'm not screen sharing here. There we go. And we're still talking, I think. I think I'm still connected. So I posted Alan West is willing to run against Wayne for boss of the NRA. What will happen at their annual meeting? People will rally. Alan will win. People will rally, but West will lose. People watch and wait for change, or come on, man. So it looks like we're pretty much dead heat. It looks like more people are optimistic than pessimistic. And yeah, then there's some people that don't think nothing will happen, but that's only a quarter of the people think nothing will happen. Let's see. So going down a little bit to the link to Crump's video earlier. So like I say, I'll post the video, and then I just start posting some of my comments here. And we'll just start digging through some of these. Watched a show called Life Below Zero all day. I watched a show called Life Below Zero all day. Alaskan Native lady is taking care of blue seals, etc. with a Mosin. So somebody it's like a reality show about somebody who lives up in Alaska or something. All right, so then I'm yawning again. Hold on. I'm not going to drink coffee, so I'm just going to keep yawning. Sorry, but I've been yawning a lot. So the notes from Crump's show. Will GOA Hunting Project be an advocate for hunting with suppressors? Any plan to work with or promote the work of the American Suppressor Association? So, Crump, he's kind of pro GOA for sure, even though they fired him. But he's willing to ask a question that's, I don't want to say difficult because it shouldn't be a difficult question, but he's willing to ask a question that isn't complete softball. And he did. He asked him this question. The guy answered with, yeah, he wants to see suppressors, but I didn't hear much of the, yeah, let's work together with the American Suppressor Association. That would be a change, right? Because GOA, they don't not work with people, but they also don't go around working with people whenever they can. So it would be a change. It would have been an ask to have him say yes to that also, but he didn't really address that part. The suppressor law is already written. Well, it's, I guess what you're calling it, but the American Suppressor Act, or what is it, the ADA? No, the Hearing Protection Act, HPA, that was already written. It might be going through every year and nobody just talks about it, right? Because we're not really paying attention to all that stuff like we could be. But it's written and it's gone through at least in 2018, the last time it almost went through. That had been the 5th time it went through. It was not its first time going through, right? So then we get, I assume GOA will create their own version of a hunter safety course. No, and I didn't ask them that because I didn't want to be a douche, but I'm guessing that that's one of the things they got to look at is like, oh, NRA's faltering. You know what we could do? Sell hunting stuff, right? USCCA is going to be doing that. These GOA is going to be doing it. I don't think Second Amendment Foundation will waste our time doing it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing alternate versions of hunter safety. Then we get hunters are not the only people who use, okay, so then they were complaining because someplace said you couldn't hunt on Sunday. And, I don't hunt, but I don't not hunt. I don't have a problem with hunters, but at the same time, I'll call somebody out who's freaking being lame. And if you're going to think that public land is for everybody, then it's for everybody. And it's not just for hunters. And if you want to just hunt, then go to private land where you can do whatever you want. So if you're on private land and they're telling you what day to hunt, all right, maybe you got a gripe. But if you're going to shared land that we all own, then start sharing and get over it. So I'll call hunters out when they're being babies about shit. I put that in there. They didn't bring it up. So then I did ask, what are the goals? What is or are the goals of the Gunners America Hunter Project? And he did offer the goals. So why don't we just go look at them? Because I'm not going to try to remember them. I'm only about 25% okay with this because it seems to me like a play for money, but I'll be happy to be proven wrong. But, show me where Gunners America has ever showed any interest in hunting before. And we'll keep talking about it here, but I also don't see any play here other than you can make some money. So Second Amendment hunters. So then you click on it and our mission, educate and mobilize hunters to be more active, or excuse me, I shouldn't put words in their mouth. Educate and mobilize hunters to be active Second Amendment supporters. Recruit hunters to become politically active at local, state, and national levels. Combat Second Amendment apathy within the hunting community. Demonstrate the safe and ethical use of firearms in hunting. And protect the American hunting tradition and ensure hunting opportunities for all hunters. All right, so let's go ahead and address. So I asked him to address this, and he did. He read those to me. Or he read them to the chat, right? So educate and mobilize hunters to be active in Second Amendment supporters. All right, I'm down with that. If they do it, yes. Recruit hunters to become politically active at the state, local, and national levels. That's offensive. Hunters have done that better than anyone, more often than anyone, and it's fucking offensive at this point to have a bunch of people who don't know what the fuck is going on stand up and complain that FUDs ruined everything and got us to where we are. That's the bullshit, binary, stupid-ass version of history that people that are selling you memberships are telling you. And this part drives me nuts, and he definitely is happy about this. So hunters don't need to be told how to do the stuff that they've already done and accomplished. So then let's get to combat Second Amendment apathy within the hunting community. All right. Yeah, great. Obviously, right? Except for, again, hunters already have done shit. Hunters are not, well, there's some dumb kid hunters, right? But most hunters have done stuff, been around for a while. And they're apathetic with the Second Amendment activists, the community, and the campaigns, not necessarily the not the Second Amendment at all, but not necessarily the fight either. You can't have one flavor of freaking pineapple pizza and then get mad that nobody's interested in eating pizza at the buffet. You know, they're all eating baked beans. They must not like pizza. No, they like pizza a lot. You put out pepperoni and bacon and what do they put on there? Ham and cheese and pineapple. You put that pizza out there. People ain't against pizza. They're against that pizza. So this combat Second Amendment apathy, that's bullshit, because Second Amendment is there and they're hunting with a gun. They got that part down. The apathy is with the lack of interest, the name calling, and there's nobody reaching across there. There's a lot of, hey, we expect a lot from the what do you call it? We expect a lot from the hunters, but we're not going to reach out and learn nothing from you. And it's nice to give them a little bit of like pat on the back, like, oh, we appreciate you because blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot that could be done on both sides here. A little bit talking to hunters, but a lot of it talking to the Gun Owners of America membership to lay the fuck off of hunters already. And I'm not giving hunters a free ride. They need to get up off their ass, but this is pandering here. Demonstrate the safe and ethical use of firearms in hunting? How fucking dare you? You took away my childhood, you sons of bitches. How even could you suggest that Gun Owners of America, who has shit to do with hunting ever, and they only existed since 1975, if you're generous, they've changed, bosses multiple times. They claim to be no compromise, but they compromise the shit out of shit. So you're going to tell me that they're going to somehow demonstrate the safe and ethical use of firearms in hunting? Bullshit. There's nothing ethical about anything Gun Owners America's ever done. Hunters are more ethical than anybody I've ever met. And no, there's nothing you're going to do here unless you're going, there's just, this is offensive. And then protect the American hunting tradition and ensure hunting opportunities for all hunters. Again, where do you get off? Protect the American hunting tradition. You know who's doing that? Whoever was on Crump's show and was talking about how his daughter said, hey, Dad, I want to go hunting. And then he's like, all right, I think your grandpa has a shotgun at grandma's house, if I understand the story correctly. So Dad took daughter to grandma's house to get grandpa's shotgun. Grandma told granddaughter about how grandpa used to shoot whatever with the shotgun. I don't know if it was birds or deers or what. But then daughter gets the lessons about grandpa from grandma, takes grandpa's shotgun, goes hunting with dad. Dad's first time in many years, daughter's first time. There's your American hunting tradition, you sons of bitches. You don't protect that. Maybe tell the story. That's about the best Gun Owners America is going to do. American hunting traditions in the human beings. So this part, I'm not saying the guy's a bad guy, but the Gun Owners of America has a lot of balls. A lot of balls saying they're going to help hunters out, in my opinion. All right, so then do we change the paradigm of attacking gun owners after crimes by education of folks who would normally throw some gun owners under the bus, like those who would say, who needs to own fill in the blank? So this is tough because you can only use 200 characters in a YouTube comment. And this was not necessarily in order. And I had not yet heard, I'm going to call it a pathetic pander as far as their goals. I wasn't satisfied with their goals. They're okay, but they're basic goals. There's nothing good about those goals. There's nothing exciting or amazing. They're just plain old boring goals that anybody could say, and they've already been accomplished. So they're fake goals. So this was, I think, asked before he answered that way. And he didn't answer it. He answered it fine. I'm just definitely offended by the answer. Do we change the paradigm of attacking gun owners after crimes, right? That whole paradigm that we get attacked after a crime by educating the folks who would normally throw some of the gun ownership under the bus, right? Like, in other words, do we fight this whole paradigm? Because basically they had been saying, let's start the show out, this interview with the GOA hunting guy, and let's start it out by talking about the bullshit in New York, which is an obvious distraction set up to stop all conversations and disrupt, right? So they did that. They disrupted and started their conversation with this bullshit. And then the guy from GOA goes, what are we going to do? So I'm like, what the fuck? Well, here's what we're going to do. Change the paradigm by informing hunters that every time something like this happens, the answer isn't to blame other gun owners, which is the perception. I'm not saying it is the state, right? But it's the perception. So I've asked that, but I understand it's a clunky answer. But they didn't bring it up. Let's see. Is GOA doing anything to poll or gauge the actual number of hunters who are aware of 2A issues versus those hunters who are willing to give up other people's guns? So, they didn't really address my question here, but, they kind of got adjacent to it as they were having a conversation, kind of getting the ball rolling there. And the conversation wasn't bad. I'm definitely ripping on it, but it was a fine conversation. And the guys has barely started this organization, so I'm not completely against it. I just am skeptical as shit about it. But the part of it was, what are we going to do? Woe is me, blah, blah. So it's like, well, are you going to do something? Like, you got an organization that has a bunch of members and you have the ability to ask your members stuff and they're active membership. So they'll probably participate in a survey or a poll or something. So are you going to, basically, I asked them, are you going to do anything to poll or gauge those number of hunters out there who are aware of 2A versus the ones that, jump to throw other people's guns under the bus every time they get accused of something? And they didn't bring that up. Next is the guy talked about that story I just mentioned about going out and hunting with his daughter and getting the story from the grandma and all that. I mean, that was freaking amazing, right? So I put in here, my opinion, stories about all the hunters who strike out on their hunt, but bond like that with family and friends should be promoted more often. It's the ones that get away that really pay off, because it's the same trap that you fall into when all you ever do is talk about how you should buy a new piece of garbage. So, I like guns and stuff. Do you want to buy this new piece of garbage? Hey, I like guns and Second Amendment. Do you want to buy this new grip angle? Oh, I like guns and things too. Do you want to buy this new optic? So you basically get yourself into a position where unless someone's looking to read a catalog, they're not having anything to do with you. So hunting, if all you're ever going to do is show the glamorous kill shots, number one, everybody who ever goes to hunt is going to be like, this is nothing like the bullshit glossy cover articles of these things. Hunting is like the most boring solitude type of thing ever, right? It can be. I guess you can do it other ways, but most of the time you're sitting there stalking or spotting. So you're quiet and you're sitting there and you're out in the middle of nowhere. So it took you forever to get there at a weird time, and then you're hoping that some giant critter is stupid enough to walk up next to you, right? So that's not the same as looking at all the money shots. So I was hoping that one of the things I might be able to get across is letting that know that, hey, if you're going to try reaching out to people and you want to get people who aren't hunters to become hunters, let them appreciate the idea that they're going out and taking in nature, that they're being part of our planet. And with the new way the youngins are, with the way that they're all into the nature, or the environment, whatever Al Gore tells them to do, it seems like that might be a way to bridge some gaps, potentially. Who knows? Let's see. Love to get the Hearing Protection Act going, I guess what you mean. We have land that is owned by Washington Fish and Wildlife that is just for hunting. So the recruit, I don't think there should be land just for hunting. I guess if like when Ducks Unlimited buys their own land or something and they leave it for hunting, I guess that's okay. But it just seems stupid. Land's got so many other uses. Why not let some kids hike in there or something? So recruit the FUDs, not new. Yeah, and it doesn't seem like they're even trying hard. It seems, I don't want to say that it seems like they're just putting up virtue signaling, but because he's just started. So he's bitten off a lot. Let's see how much he can chew. Let's put it that way. And he's not incapable. It sounds like he's been a competent, accomplished professional in this realm for a while. He's not in the 2A realm, in the hunting realm. So let's see what he can do. Wield is saying, when the NRA called me this week and I said, fire Wayne and call me for more money, or call me for money. I wonder if they're accepting that or not, because you're obviously not the only one saying that, and they do nothing but call out. If you listen to anything what's going on with the NRA, they're desperate for, they're desperate to figure out why and to stop the hemorrhage of membership. So I'm going to stop for a second. I still got a couple of things to complain about, but that's what I'm doing on the Second Amendment Day. I'm going to go over to my YouTube channel, and we'll just go to, you know where I can go? To the weekly wrap-up, because that's what it's all about. Is in the description of the weekly wrap-up, I post all the things that are interesting that I've been watching this week about 2A, and the Reload, which is a podcast that we subscribe to, $10 a month, is a journalist. I don't know what his name is. I'll remember. Stephen, I think. And he has an interview with Alan West, who this whole thing is talking about. Alan West is what is Alan West anyway? Is he a major? He's a lieutenant colonel? What the hell was he? So Alan West is running against Wayne LaPierre, and in this hour-ish episode of The Reload, there's a pretty good conversation. And Stephen, whoever the host is of The Reload, oh, shit. All right, we're on pause. Oh, hopefully that wasn't expensive. So Alan West's talking to that Stephen guy, and he's giving real questions. Wasn't throwing him hard balls, but he wasn't throwing him softballs either. He was asking questions that I didn't think. Well, I'm appreciating the Reload more and more after hearing those questions that he gave Alan West. So I don't know nothing about Alan West. Wield is saying Alan West was a GOP congressman from Florida, great speaker, right? I mean, like right politically, conservative, that is popular. American retired military officer. I think of him as like, I'm trying to remember his rank. Military career. Oh, Fort Sill. I got stories about Fort Sill. West entered active duty in '83 at Fort Sill. I hung out at Fort Sill in much later than that, where he completed blah, blah, blah. That's a artillery base, so field artillery officer, and then proceeded to airborne at Benning, and then blah, 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 Ron Star. Oh, wait, hold on. So the culminating his career was 2nd Battalion, 4th Infantry. Deployed, he was relieved of command by use of force concerning a policeman, violating rules by holding a policeman, punching him in the face, conducting a thing, and then doing stuff. Then he was allowed to retire. Oh, I didn't know about all that. Ms. Woods, good evening.
Hey, G.
So I don't know if you're jumping in for the whole Alan West thing or the hunting thing.
More the hunting thing. Sorry, I was doing puppy stuff. You know how that goes. And I got 4-month-old puppies, but didn't know if you're almost to wrap it up or what you're doing, but figured I'd come in and see what you're up to.
Yeah, right on. So I'm just trying to really figure out, I can't remember, was it Lieutenant Colonel West? I can't remember what they call this guy when they were talking about him with his rank, but sounds like he got kicked out. So he's not somebody who I was thinking of. I was thinking of like somebody who was highly decorated and well respected and got out. Sounds like he was doing his thing, had an incident and left the military. And then he went to the Guard for a while, but sounds like also then he was a representative for a little while. Well, 3 years? No, 8, 12, 4 years. And then what, now he's just a talker? Or is he still in... Oh yeah, now he just goes around being like a host or something?
Is he in Congress, meaning that probably representative rather than a senator? I don't know.
Oh, I understand. No, I don't know. But whatever he was in Congress about was from 2013. So he hasn't been in Congress for a while.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I don't know. He hasn't really been doing as much on the scene or whatever. So I kind of remember his name, but I don't know who he is. So I'm not going to get all behind him. However, when I listen to this reload thing, it sounds like the guy, if you take him at his word, which I have no reason to believe him or not, he says basically, people asked me to take this gig, and that's what I do. Is what do you call it? He says he's.
I'll agree with Wield. He is a good speaker. I've seen him speak before, like on talk shows and stuff.
Like
he's
good at it.
Yeah,
like he's good at it, like an actor or a politician, or like he has good things to say, like John Locke.
Not John Locke. More that he's good at the game.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying. So that's the thing. If he's just good at the game for being good at the game, then what are you going to do? But that's what you need sometimes for somebody who runs an organization. He doesn't have to
you need somebody that's
a good plumber or not.
Right, especially if you're trying to rebuild the image of an organization, don't you need somebody who can, give the win one for the Gipper type speeches?
Definitely, and they have to be a jack of trades that are useful for them, and that would be one of them, right? Public speaking and leading people and giving them new ideas with some emphasis, whatever the words are, to make them want to be a part of it, right? Yeah. So anyway, I guess I was saying that's an interview worth listening to. It's an hour long or something, and damn, how did I get over there from talking about GOA?
I missed about 10 minutes, so I can't tell you.
Yeah, so it probably had something to do with whatever this last comment How the hunters? No, I don't know how I got over there. Oh, you know what? No, I don't know what got over there. Oh, maybe when Wield was talking about when the NRA called and I told him fire Wayne. So that's the thing, is this interview is having a conversation with Alan West because Alan West was asked to challenge Wayne for the whatever his position is at the NRA, executive vice president in charge of being a dick. So basically this interview is like, why do you want to do it? And Alan's like, well, because people asked me to and it needs to be done, and this guy's not running it right. And I was a member of the NRA for a while and I could tell it wasn't running right, so I left and I was done with it. And then people said, hey, you know what's going on and you're in a position to be able to do something about it. Would you come back and do something? He's like, yeah, if I get voted in, I'll do it. So, he's not like ambitious, but he's willing. And I think that's what you need for a position like this, is somebody who's understands the job and is able, right? And then willing, but not, if he was ambitious, I'd be super skeptical, right? Like there's been a couple of people that have been like jumping at the job. So it could be a big play. Maybe he's Wayne's best friend and he's just like, hey, pass it off to me. I'll act like I don't want to do it. And you can act like you don't want to have it happen. And then whenever it happens, you can just keep doing it. Like, how do we know? But it's something that I think the result is here nor there. The idea is we can either live in a world where an organization that brings in something like $350 million a year, $350 million a year, another organization, Gunners America, 16 million. Second Amendment Foundation, if you stack on the two organizations that they run on top of each other, maybe $20 million a year. Nagger, nobody even knows who they are. They hide in Colorado and just suck money, and $16 million a year. FPC, $1 million a year. You add all those up together, and they're nowhere near $345 million. So fools who think that the NRA is insignificant or old or worthless, or because they don't pay attention to the NRA, they have no idea how big it is, $345 million. So we're talking about an organization that big, and yeah, we need this guy, or this guy's talking about coming in and running against Wayne if the board will vote for him. But what's the odds of that? Well, nothing's just going to happen. It has to be a bunch of people get together. Remember in 77 when Knox was like, hey, why don't we not cower and run to Colorado or whatever? Why don't we stay in Washington, D.C. and become a political entity? That was him pleading to the membership. I don't know if anybody remembers Military Arms Channel in...
That wasn't that long ago, yeah.
17, 18, right?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
17 maybe, 17. And I think because, well, it depends. I guess you could go back and ask him. But what his gig was to go to the NRA show with these shirts and have a bunch of people wear shirts that said not real activists, right? NRA, not real activists. And to use that as a show of solidarity or concern over the misdirection of the leadership of the organization. Anyway, so I guess what I was saying is we don't know if Alan is better than Wayne or if he's not, or if his goals are true. But what we do have is an organization that's huge. We have these tiny little organizations that sit around going, let the big one burn. And what we don't realize is the opportunity we have to take back a massive organization. And then what will happen when the NRA is on, fully operational and back on track, when it's not a damaged entity floating around with goofy people at the helm and riding on fumes and, distracting a bunch of people. Think of all the people that aren't paying attention at all and are just paying money to the NRA.
Right.
But like that once we get that harnessed and the people in charge that are using those resources effectively again, how much of that $345 million is abuse and waste? I'm not saying it's 345 like of efficiently used money and you need to throw your money at it. I'm just using it as a way to talk about the scale of these things. It's a massive, massive organization. Even if half of that is complete waste, it's still $145 million or whatever.
Even if 10% could be used better, that's $35 million.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about massive scale. So yeah, even if you got in there and the first thing you did was make it 25% more effective, you've just funded every other organization for the next 4 years with that savings. So all the people that don't, I mean, there's just so many ways that working with the NRA is more effective. And what you end up with is whatever the strategy was that saves the NRA, changes the NRA, fixes the NRA, challenges the NRA, whatever, returns the NRA back on track, whatever you want to say is your words. Whatever that effort was, because it's not going to be like one person stands up, because otherwise I would have done it already, right? Like it's not going to be just one person stands up and says, aha, push this button. Everybody pushes the button and the NRA's changed. But, a whole bunch of little shit will happen. And then, that'll change a wave, and then the rain will run away, and then the NRA will be sitting there, and then somebody will grab it, and maybe it'll take another person to get it back, and then it'll start working right? But something will work. How do you get that started, right? Do you sit around waiting for that to come start, or do you just jump in and start starting it? Or do we wait for somebody to do it? Or, do we start talking about it and have whatever the word is, like, somebody hear it and go, oh, I can talk to somebody. Oh, I know somebody on the board. Oh, I know somebody on the board. And then the next thing you know, whatever happened in 1977 when everybody put on a hat, or what Tim would have liked to have happened in the before 20, whenever he had everybody wear the shirts. Everybody went to the NRA annual meeting this year wearing teal for 2A. Everybody decided to buy a blue shirt from Tony Simon or a blue teal shirt from the DC Project and wear that the entire time at the NRA National Convention. What would happen if every picture from the NRA annual meeting was people wearing blue shirts? Right? And everybody would show up the first day or the first thing and go, oh, why is everybody wearing blue shirts? Oh, I brought 3 of them just in case. Here's why we're all wearing blue shirts. That guy brought 4 and she brought a dozen. Here's blue shirts if you want to put them on, if you realize that, or, here's the thing. So now you've got an empowered, emboldened people. What if everybody at the NRA walked in and went straight to the annual meeting, walked right past the diversionary exhibits that are out front? Hey, thanks, Colt. We'll come look at your new grip angle, in a minute when we're done changing the NRA over here.
I like everything you said, but didn't Wayne change the board to where it's pretty much just yes men for him now?
Nope. There's 75 people on the board, so he didn't change shit. 45 of them show up. The 12 that you're talking about are the ones that show up and vote, sure. But if Tom Selleck, that's what I was thinking of. Tom Selleck, what's his face, the guy that almost trampled me at the NRA show 2009. I luckily didn't get smashed by his bodyguard thugs. That guy who seems to be really popular. If those people can be talked to, made aware, urged, right, have their mind changed, have a discussion with, whatever. Tom Selleck went to the NRA and said, Wayne's got to go. What would happen? Right? If and I don't know, there's 75 board members. So if each of those board members came to the thing wearing a DC Project shirt, you know what I'm saying? That's a different thing. Then yeah, the 12 or 15 of the 30 people that vote, that would normally vote for Wayne because they like something about the way it is, or they're scared of something else. Here's the other thing. We're talking about some sort of like they're against us and we're against them. What if it turns out that these people just don't realize that they're voting for dumb things that are wasting everybody's time? That maybe they just need to have some discussions. And why isn't there not opportunity for that in the next 2 weeks? Again, we're talking about 70 board members and 40 of them that show up. That's 40 individual projects that need to happen. There's national level organizations that are worried about all kinds of things, like enabling hunters or something, like could have enabled members of organizations to be active or something, enable them, send them out with a package. I guess I'm just mumbling at this point, or rambling at that point. But that's the end of the NRA one. Now we'll go back over to hunting. Unless anybody else has any NRA stuff, feel free. But I think that's a long shot, but it's one that I'll keep harping on, because if you don't harp on it, then nobody's going to hear it, and then nobody's going to echo it or chirp it into somebody else's ear who can actually do something about it. But all it takes is somebody who's actually got the what do you call it, resources, or the ability to talk to somebody or to change somebody's mind. All they got to do is get the spark, potentially. So did you watch the guy on Crump by any chance?
I did not. I've been, like I said in the thing earlier, I've been out of work this week, and I've been watching a weird show, but we don't have to get into that. We can talk about it in the after chat. It's pretty cool.
So let's see. So then the next thing was, I guess I was asking, do you change that paradigm by talking to the hunters or by educating them? You didn't address that one. Let's see. Let's talk about the stories where you hunt, where you strike out being as important so that it doesn't always look like it's glory, like, oh, you're going to go out there and come home with a trophy animal or something, or meat. It's just ridiculous. It's not how it is. And the true hunters are having more fun, or as much fun, no matter what the results of the success
sure.
is, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I hunt because I like going hunting, not because I care whether I actually get anything. Clearly, it's better when you do. No hunter says, no, this was great, I got nothing. But it's more about just going and doing it, right?
And I'll just put the caveat on there, like usually, because there's those times when, for whatever reason, you're out there, you're seeing that elk, you're seeing that moose, you're seeing that duck or something, and then you see over and it's got a little baby, and you go, oh, you know what? I'm going to make a decision to not pull that trigger. And then
I've done that.
That was the most, amazing hunt you've ever had in your life, and you didn't come home with nothing. I mean, so there's things that you don't know what you're going to encounter because it's real. It's the real world, and you just don't even know the kind of craziness you can discover. Or you just are about to do something and like a waterfall or like a glacier falls off a massive cliff in the background. And you're like,
right.
Yeah, you know what? I'd rather sit here and watch this massive thing happen than harvest this one when I know there's 6 others on my way out of this canyon. There's
a place I duck hunt where there's river otters. And I honestly can watch those river otters play all day long. Just hang out. There's been plenty of times where I should have shot a duck, but I didn't want to set off the gun because I'd bothered the otter.
There's a billion ducks. So you got one opportunity in your life to watch these otters frolic at a freaking place.
How often do you get to see that in real life?
Right. So that's the part where, again, I think they got an opportunity as the Gun Owners of America, who has an influence, a finger on the pulse with the new, wherever these new kids are. They're not all kids because they're freaking adults that are brand new. All these new people, and then people that got no interest in NRA. They hate the NRA. They hate hunters. They hate all this stuff. They don't know why. They just hate it because it's not new. And, and our GOA potentially, since they're a new hunting organization and they have no effective history in hunting or knowledge of hunting or expertise in hunting, right? Or passion for hunting. It's never even been on their radar until just the last 15 minutes or whatever. That maybe they can come at it a different way. And maybe their job is to get people to quit using the FUD term because it's a stupid thing to divide us, right? Instead, they use FUD. Well, FPC uses FUD all the time as a joke or a way to mock the old or the traditional.
Right.
It's like, oh, how come we're not winning? We hate you, Grandpa, and everybody that came before us. Okay, no wonder. Stand alone and see how long you're going to last there, youngin'. All right, so let's see. In my opinion, many divides are from lack of education. So this is another one I threw in there, and I don't think they addressed it. In my opinion, many of the divides are from lack of education. Just as some hunters are unaware of some guns, most gun owners have no idea how effective hunters have been in the past to retain 2A rights. It would be cool to see how Gun Owners of America address some more effort to awareness of just how many 2A fights there have been over the years to get us to where we are with CCW in 50 states and concealed carry or constitutional carry in half of the states. So again, that's me ranting about that. Hunters have done a bunch of stuff already, and the one thing I think Gun Owners of America could contribute is that what I basically just reiterating what I just said, that they could tell the kids, like, hey, we didn't just have CCW in 50 states. You know how we got that? A whole bunch of people were comfortable about guns. You think that all happened because we were scared of Obama, or we were scared of Clinton, or we were scared of, that was before Clinton. Nobody was really going after guns before Clinton. So, we were scared of the ghosts, 68? No, we were aware of guns because of hunting, period. And military, I guess, but mostly hunting. And then, eventually we got CCW. It wasn't from hunters, but if hunters would have been against CCW, there wouldn't have been no CCW, right? So hunters had to be dealt with, and even the fact that the people who were interested in CCW had to explain it to hunters and win them over, that challenge allowed us to kind of get some of those abilities to win people over to our side of the argument as like an internal fight. So anyway, I'm not saying that was a direct relation there, but they're keeping right to access, right to into what guns you can own to shoot or what ammunition you can use to shoot, times and seasons and that kind of thing. All those kind of fights brought people together, gave people the ability to unite. They created some of the organizations like NSSF and some of the other organizations that we have that are industry level that eventually grew into industry level organizations at regional and national levels. So some of the infrastructure that we even have today, I don't want to say SAMI, like the actual definition, what is that called? Like a regulation organization that defines like what the calibers are and things like that, like just a place so that we all are working on the same playing field or on the same measure for the industry. Like that's not quite a government entity. It's kind of an industry/government entity. And they might have had some, well, they definitely, I was gonna say they may have, but they didn't have any influence in anything other than to make awareness like, hey, don't use plus P ammo in a non-plus P gun or some kind of safety information like that might have applied in a hunting class. But anyway, so we've had lots of fights. It'd be cool to see GOA make that information out there, but they didn't address that one. Somewhere in his explanation of the suppressor question, the guy from GOA suggested that it would be a good idea to bring suppressors off of the NFA. So my answer was, good to hear about the removal of cans from the NFA. It would be awesome to get a powerful set of hunters on board for the repeal of the NFA. Is that a potential of the Gun Owners Hunter Project? And they didn't answer that one either. But yeah, I don't like the idea of taking anything off the NFA. I like the idea of taking all the things that are on the NFA and using them to remove the NFA, right? Like, because suppressors, sure, there's all kinds of good precedent set to remove it from the NFA, but there's the same precedent set for removing short barrel rifles and machine guns and short barrel shotguns and any other weapons. So since we could fight all of those individually and be successful 16 times, why don't we just get rid of the NFA by addressing all of those things at once? He wouldn't give me an indication, and I don't think that's on their radar yet. And then the last one is, hunting is an amazing opportunity to bring communities together, inviting kids, civic organizations, social groups, etc., out to experience a hunt could be amazing. Something GOA, would that be something GOA would do or could do? And I don't think they addressed this one either. I think I might have asked this one too late in the show and they weren't addressing questions anymore. But I think, again, since GOA has no business acting like they have anything to do with hunting, and they have no experience or no awareness of hunting, and they don't have any hunters I'm aware of on their anything except for this guy, then they can do something new, right? If you're going to do something where you got no resources and no experience, you might as well do something new. Then what if they did something where they brought people who've never hunted before and meet people who hunt all the dang time? And then that creates a bridge and that creates some awareness on both ends. Hunters get insight to people who have never hunted before and get the joy of sharing what they are passionate about. And then people that live in cities understand how this planet works and how actual nature is. I mean, that's win, 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 win. Love to see GOA do that. I don't know if they make any money on that or if that's in line with their fake goals or their goals that they put out over there. But there you go. I don't have to love everything GOA does. They certainly don't pay me a dime. I'm not angry about what they're doing. I'm just offended to some extent that they suggest that hunters are feeble and like accidentally got to where we are. Like, I don't consider myself a hunter, but I'll appreciate what hunters have done. All right, I guess I'm done ranting. Want to chat about anything else?
I'm good. Just going back to the Alan West thing for a minute, I'm going to bring up the concept of statistical regression. So if Wayne Lapierre is all the way to the right, a couple standard deviations from the average leader. The chances that Alan West would be more of an average leader are pretty good, because the next data set's more likely to be towards the middle.
Sorry, a thing opened up. So yeah, basically what you're saying is since Wayne Lapierre is so whack, it would be statistically rare for West to be even more whack.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I had. Breaking out some math.
I'm going to jump over to the poll again. We do have 6 votes. It looks like 50% people think so 2 people think people will rally, and how's this work? 3 people think Alan West will rally, or people will rally, and Alan West will win. 2 people think that people just watch and wait, which probably what'll happen, right? And then 1 person is a narc, just hanging out because they get paid by the government to watch this show. So, and I can't end the poll because I'm not on that channel, but we've been going for more than an hour. I did have the link out there, and most people ditched out except for Woods, who jumped in. So thanks for joining. Appreciate the company and the point of view.
No problem.
Tonight. We talked a little bit about Minnesota, which gets that one off of the calendar. We'll have to figure out a state for next week to add to the list. Let's see, we had Minnesota, New Hampshire, Alabama, and Arizona. So next week it'll be New Hampshire, Alabama, and Arizona, and some 4th one that somebody will come up with. And each week we'll take a look at that, and then there's 2A stuff that's happening like we did this week with the I keep saying and then it throws me off because I think about what did I say again for? It's just pointless. Anyway, we talked to see I'm saying it again. We'll okay. Drive myself nuts with noticing my what's that called? Speech glitch or something? There's a name for those pauses. Do you make your kids not say these things like and and like?
If they're doing a speech or something, yeah.
I can't remember who I was listening to. Somebody the other day. Oh, I know who it was. I just want to bring them out. But they were saying something, and it was like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or I think it was, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I was like, holy crap. Like, I can't not hear it now, and you won't stop saying it. I don't even, I had to basically stop listening to the show. It wasn't live anyway. So I just stopped listening to it, did other things, and then went back to listening, right? Because it was literally in my head. DJ saying Delaware. Is Delaware a state? Delaware is a city, isn't it?
I feel like it's so small you need to include another state too.
Delaware.
It's a state.
Bordering Maryland. I might have missed it in my stuff. I guess it's Delaware is a little one. It always mix it up with New Jersey because it acts like New Jersey, but it's littler and lower. But yeah, I remember Delaware. But you know what the problem with Delaware is? Nobody lives in Delaware, and nobody who does live in Delaware interacts with anyone else in the country. So they're worse than Rhode Island, because at least in Rhode Island we have people from Rhode Island around. No, it's a good one. I haven't done Delaware, and I'm almost positive there's nothing in Delaware. Do I even have it in here? I must have it in here. So it's technically a state. I'd be surprised if there's anything. Oh, I'll shut up. One of my favorite 2A activists of all time is in Delaware, so I'm shutting up right now until I forgot about it. So yeah, maybe it'll be Delaware. Yeah. All right, with that, we're wrapping it up for real. Thanks again, Woods, for joining in. Thanks for people that show up live. And if you're listening out there and you're not live, but you're listening to it in the future, leave some feedback so that you can be part of the show.
Tonight's episode, The Ripoff.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee,
Check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals at gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com. Do 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 do.